she was helpless because she was isolated, no family, no friends, no one else, no place to live, no money, no career, nothing.
So the narcissistic manipulation, it doesn't just have this one way. It can look very different.
The absolute shock when this other woman walks into her bedroom. It's like, chills. Welcome to another episode of Narcissism Unmasked, and I'm Lisa Sonni, and I have some really amazing guests with me today, and we're going to be talking about trauma bonds and really what Hollywood gets right about this, what we see in movies, what's named, what isn't named, but just sort of domestic violence and narcissism, narcissistic abuse on camera, on screen, and really learning about how this shows up. And I want to first introduce my guests, and I'm actually going to sort of turn it over and let them introduce themselves because we're going to be talking about a real movie today that is just absolutely amazing. It's not out yet, but why don't I turn this over to you? And Stefanie, why don't you start and introduce yourself?
Yes, perfect. Hi, I'm Stefanie Schmahl. I'm a film producer and also actor. And together with Ali, I produced the film I Love You, My Narcissist.
Amazing.
Hi everyone. I'm Ali Schmahl. I'm the producer and the director of the film. And we, together with Stefanie, we made the film this year, and we are now in post-production and finishing the film so we can release the film very soon.
Mm-hmm. And I am beyond excited. I admit I have seen the movie and it is so phenomenal. I truly can't wait because I think what's crazy is I don't think there's enough representation about these types of relationships on screen that really name it for what it is. And I think you guys have done some really amazing things, making the movie at all. But tell me, and maybe Ali, why don't you tell me what's so special about the way that you've made this film?
The point is, in many films internationally, the narcissists and the narcissistic abuse is showing very superficial and not showing the survivors that are suffering in those relationships, but they are showing the narcissists who are like superheroes or amazing, or they are good guys or whatever. We wanted to break the stereotypes and we wanted to show the real narcissistic abuse in relationships. So we came up with the idea. At the very first, it was an idea to creating a fully documentary with some experts and some survivors and adding some pictures, some archive materials and stuff like this. And then after a while, we said, no, that's not our quality because we don't want the film to end up being on YouTube and that's it. So we might not reach the audience that the film deserves. So we came up with the idea of making a hybrid genre film, a mixture of documentary and fiction. And the fiction part is based on true stories. And that was the idea that we had. And we didn't want to show the narcissists superficial and superheroes and good guys because our main focus was and is on the survivors and on the people that are in such relationships and they don't really have a way out of those out of those relationships.
Yeah. And I want to add on to that as well. We also wanted to focus on the perspective of the survivors instead of taking the perspective of the narcissist and really show the emotional struggle, the internal struggle of the people that are dealing with a narcissistic partner and are discovering it or doubting the relationship. And then also, Ali said we didn't want to portray the narcissists as the heroes, but then we also didn't fully want to present the narcissists only in every single moment as the bad guys, because that's not what the survivors are experiencing. It's all the up and downs, and we wanted to bring in as much nuances as possible to get the most complex relationship dynamics.
Yeah, and I mean, you nailed it, just so you know, because that's so true. It's so seen from the perspective of, they're so bad and it's so hard to leave, but like you show them as good and bad. It's so accurate.
Yeah, and to get there, we also interviewed a lot of survivors and listened to their stories and everything that they went through and tried to implement as much as possible into the stories, which is also kind of a challenge because you only have so much time in a film and you can't portray everything. But Yeah.
Yeah. It could have been 3 times as long and still missing
Right.
details, I'm sure. But I
Yes.
think that the stories are told really well. And what's interesting as well is that the stories, you know, there's 2 stories. I mean, really, there's 3 stories, but there's 2 primary stories happening. So we're looking at 2 different couples. And I know it's built from real stories from many people, but I just absolutely love the accuracy of it. And Stefanie, not only did you work on the film, you're in the film. You did an amazing job. So I know that when people see it,
Thank you.
they're just going to be so impressed and so excited. I want to just quickly ask to let the audience know who's been in this movie in terms of the experts that you had participating in the analysis side. I was one of them. We know that, but who else?
Yeah, in the film, we had the honor to work with you for sure as an expert, and also with Dr. Ramani, with Dr. Kerry McAvoy, with Danielle Radin, Manjit Ruprai, Emma Davy. We at the very beginning, it was very overwhelming for us to reach out to you or to all of you, and we weren't sure if the scale of the production would be something that all of you say yes. And we were very excited to reach out to you. And after you all of you said yes, we would like to be in the project. We were like, how could I say, over the moon, or over. We were very excited about it. Yeah, we have you, Lisa, in the film as an expert. We have Dr. Ramani, we have Dr. Kerry McAvoy, Danielle Radin, Emma Davy, and Manjit Ruprai as the experts who are analyzing the situations that happening in the film for the survivors and with the narcissists, and also giving insights and more information about the red flags and about the situations that are happening.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing to be part of it. And I felt throughout the entire, filming process, the accuracy, but it wasn't really even until I saw it all come together. You had a vision, of course, but from my perspective, seeing it after was just phenomenal. And I think, my audience knows far more than we ever wanted to know about trauma bonds. But I just think that it really showed how it develops so well in the characters. And, for those that maybe don't know, right, a trauma bond is really this powerful, unhealthy attachment to somebody that hurts you in a relationship where there's this oscillation of kindness and cruelty, and it becomes very addictive, right? And it makes you question your reality, and you feel so stuck in the hope that things could be better and that things could go back to the way that they were. And it can happen between parents and friends and bosses and romantic partners. So it's not, I also love that you showed the dynamic between Emily and her mother. It
was Sara and her
Sara
mother.
and her mother.
I'm sorry, you're right. I also love that you showed the dynamic between Sara and her mother. It was so impressive, and watching that, how it unfolds, and the pressure from the mother down to Sara, and how that translated to the way that she treated her partner. It was really, really well done. Now, what are some other things that you think really make this film different in the context of how you showed these characters and their trauma bonds, and how it shows up in their daily life? Anyone can answer.
So first of all, like I said earlier, it's the perspective that we really want to stay on the point of view of the survivor. And then also we tried not to only escalate every single situation just because that's the easiest thing to do for a movie, like create the most drama, create the biggest conflict. But we really wanted to go into more nuances and find the right balance within the short amount of time to get there, to really understand the buildup of these relationships, so that when you haven't experienced a narcissistic relationship, you can't just go ahead and jump to a conclusion and say, oh, this would never happen to me. I wouldn't deal with this kind of behavior, because there are so many other steps that happened before. And that was important to us, to show all these steps, all the confusion, all the gaslighting, manipulation, the blame game, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
it is
common.
also important to mention that the insights of you experts in the film after every situation that happens, and clarifying those situations, going deeper into those situations, and whys and hows, and clarifying every detail. That also helps the audience to understand the topic better, and to feel more, to get more engaged with the characters in the film. Because we had a private screening where we showed the film to a small amount of audience to get their feedbacks, and we got many feedbacks that they told us, yeah, hey, during the film I was thinking about my old past relationships, and even I was thinking, if I would be a narcissist and if I have such behavior in myself, or any of my past relationships were narcissistic.
Mhm. It really makes
And
you
then
think.
and then we also added some different power dynamics. Like we have a family dynamic in there as well. We have a situation between a foreigner and the immigration office. We have some contact with the justice system. Some dynamics at the workplace.
Yeah. The total destruction was really obvious to me there, in Michael's life. It the control that she had over him, it feels, even if, obviously the details of the story was incredible, but I think people who haven't gone through that specifically, you still feel what that feels like, to feel helpless and to feel like someone else has all the power and all the authority over your life. It's really painful for people to go through. And that blame that you're talking about, all survivors feel that other people look in and think, I wouldn't have made this decision, I wouldn't have reacted that way. But you did such a good job showing like how helpless people feel. It's so easy to say that you would have done something differently, but I don't know if that's true. I think that it's easy to say something from the outside and say how, or like essentially guess how you would react to something. But when you're in it, I know I didn't behave in a way that I felt aligned with who I think I am. When I was in my abusive relationship, you just become a different person. It really steals your identity, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's also one thing that we are showing throughout the film, because at the very beginning of the film, the main characters, they have a personality. They are confident, they are strong. And throughout the story, because the narcissists are gaslighting them, because they are treating them in the worst way, they lose these self-confidence, they lose the personality, and they start blaming themselves, um because of the gaslighting and everything that is happening in those relationships. They start thinking, if they are doing something wrong and they need to be a better person so that the relationship could work, and they blame themselves. We see in almost all narcissistic relationships that the survivors and the people in such relationship, they blame themselves, that, yeah, that was my fault, actually. I need to change and be a better person so I could save that relationship.
Yeah. That's saving the relationship is like the number one goal, is how can I save this? How can I keep this? And Emily was really desperate to save the relationship. There's actually the scene when Lisa first walks in, not to be confused with me for the audience, but the character Lisa, when she walked in, I was like shaken by that scene, actually. Not, and I didn't experience anything like that, but just it's mind-blowing what we tolerate in these relationships and how desperate you can become to save the relationship. What do you think, kind of, if you could describe how you see Emily felt, what do you think she was feeling when she sort of accepted this third person looming in the relationship?
Yeah, I think what makes it so complicated too is that the narcissists seem to offer so much at the beginning. Like in our stories, for example, they offered love, acceptance, to be seen, to be heard. But then also in Emily's case, for example, the casting director offered her roles, offered her a perspective for her future, and somebody to walk this path with. So she hopelessly fell in love with him, and then understanding that, oh, maybe he doesn't have only good intentions, and questioning herself, is what I'm seeing right? Is what my friends are telling me about this person, the doubts that they're telling me, is that something that I should consider? But he does make me feel so good. So maybe they're jealous, or maybe they don't see what I see. Maybe they don't experience what I'm experiencing. And that makes it so hard. And then when the narcissist then also separates them from their loved ones, their sounding boards, I would say, that also makes it super complicated.
And
Yeah.
I see also another point here, because Emily was thinking if it's going the right way, but actually she didn't want to know the answer somehow. She didn't want to accept that answer if it's going wrong, because she wanted it to be right. She wanted it to work. And to ignoring your gut feeling in a narcissistic relationship, it's the thing that almost everyone is facing. And that's why it's hard and it's tough to get out of those relationships. And that's what causes the trauma bond, in my opinion, because you think that it's going well and you want it to be good, to go well. And if it's not going well, you try somehow to talk yourself into that yeah, it will go well, just you need to wait. And in Emily's case, she was helpless because she was isolated, no family, no friends, no one else, no place to live, no money, no career, nothing. And she was depending on Sebastian the whole time, and she doesn't have any other choices here.
Yeah, she would then also have to admit defeat, that the relationship is not working would be a failure. Because we're still taught that you have to be in a relationship. You can't be alone, especially as a woman.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to be with a partner. You have to make it work. So I think then admitting that something is not working is still very, very hard.
Yeah. And I mean, again, he was so wonderful in the beginning. They all are. It's such a way that they suck you in. But then again, the oscillation, because you could see like some still kindness and love. It's not really love, I know, but you can still see how the confusion kept up. But I think the abuse is very progressive as well. So even when it gets worse, you're still clinging to that past version of them. And that was portrayed really, really well in both of the characters. Do you see...
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, did we mention the title of the film?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's actually... The title of the film, I think, is actually perfectly named as well, because that's exactly like, you love them, even though you kind of hate them at some point, but you still love them. So I love you, my narcissist. Like, in fact, I should ask, where did that title come from?
The title originally came from the original scriptwriter Dallas King, who did some research for the true stories at the beginning, and came up with the idea of the stories that we did. And he suggested us some different titles for the film, and we evaluated the titles, and then we thought of the title of "I Love You, My Narcissist," because as you said, the partners, they love their partners, they're narcissistic partners, but at the same time they are hating them. At the same time, they are suffering in that relationship. But that trauma bonding, I don't know if it's correct to call it loving them, instead of saying trauma bonding. But with that, we wanted to say that this is the trauma that it's keeping to feel like you love them.
I think, even in your pause of like, is it accurate to say that? I think it is accurate to call it love, because I really believe that the victim believes that they love the narcissist. Now, I don't believe that a trauma bond and love truly coexist, because it's really just an unhealthy attachment. It feels like desperation, but it feels like love. And I have clients who have this realization, okay, fine, it's a trauma bonded, but I also love them. And they don't coexist, but man, does it feel like it. Trauma bonds do an amazing job mimicking what love feels like during the highs. Obviously, during the lows, it feels like dying a little bit. It's the worst feeling in the world, but that attachment is just brutal. So it feels like love. But I always sort of question, like, if it's love, you're not terrified to lose it, and you're not holding on to it for dear life and feeling like it could slip away at any second. But somebody who's abusive and narcissistic, it's like they always make you feel like you're just on the cusp of making them understand, and then things will be better, or just on the cusp of losing them. So you're always terrified. You live, I mean, it's the eggshells that we talk about, right? It's terrifying to leave, and it's terrifying to stay. You see that in the characters a lot too, that helplessness, I think. You agree?
Yeah, for example, Michael in the story, he leaves Sara. But after a couple of days, he comes back and then faces what Sara prepared for him. We don't want to spoil the film, this part of the film, so the people could watch the film and watch it themselves. But he came back to somehow fix the relationship, because he came back to negotiate again, to tell Sara how he feels. But he didn't see what he was expecting. He saw a very different thing that was much more complicated than whatever could happen on that day.
Yeah, and then the narcissists in our story also did a really great job at getting their partners dependent on themselves. Like in Michael's situation that Ali just described, it's almost not possible anymore to separate from Sara. Mm-hmm. And the same step happens with the other story, with the Emily story. It's very complicated for Emily to even find a way how to separate herself from Sebastian.
Yeah. I felt that impossible feeling when I was watching it. It was I honestly keep going back to this word desperation, because that's what it feels like. You're desperate to leave, but you're desperate to make it make sense. You're desperate to stay. You're desperate to get the old version of them back. It's really painful. A lot of the work, almost all of the work that I do is in the context of romantic partnerships. And primarily I speak, where women are the victim of abuse and men are the perpetrator. That's obviously not the reality of, narcissistic abuse in general. That's just my niche, let's say. But can we kind of shift and talk about the dynamic of Sara and her mother? What do you, and maybe Stefanie, since you played that character, how do you feel about Sara? Because it's interesting. It's like she's a victim of her mother, but she's the perpetrator in a different relationship. So can you talk about the complexity of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Sara, for me, it's interesting because I looked at her from the outside while we were creating this character, writing the story, and then also from the inside when I was jumping in as an actor. So her relationship with her mom is rewarding in the sense that she's the golden child. So mm-hmm. She usually gets all the great attention. She has a sister that gets the bad attention. She's the black sheep, basically. So Sara is pushing hard to stay in this good position with her mom, to always do the thing that the mom wants her to do, which will always basically overachieve everything. And this mm-hmm. also plays into her relationship with Michael. She, from my perspective, when I was playing the character, she loved Michael, but she was mm-hmm. also very, very worried about something going wrong with the relationship. And then not only having to deal with her personal defeat, but then also with the consequences with her mom. that would then make the defeat much, much worse.
Yeah, that's so true. Ali, do you have anything to add to that?
For me, the dynamic between Sara and Elizabeth is a little bit complicated because Sara Sara was raised in a way that she needs to please her mother every time, every second, the whole time. And her mother also had the control of her finances because she funds her career, and also control of her publicity and everything that is going for her to have a face in society and in work and everything. And Sarah had no other choice than pleasing Elizabeth the whole time. And every move that Sarah wanted to make, she needed to make sure if Elizabeth likes it or not. And at the same time, sometimes before she makes any choices, she needed to get her approval before do that.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's also very difficult for children of narcissistic families, because we had also in our interviews with the survivors that we used their stories in the film. We had also some persons with similar situation that they needed to please their mother every time, every day, and they also said that's their mother just blamed them. You got fat, you got ugly, you need to work harder, you need to do that, you need to do that. And they were trying every day, every second, every minute to show the perfect picture of the perfect child for that parents.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Even in my work where I mostly deal with the context that I described, so many have also had a parent who is narcissistic, father or mother. And so it's interesting how there's patterns and you get used to something. And in some cases, you become the victim of abuse if you grew up that way. And in some cases, you become the perpetrator. And I think kind of even going back to like Stefanie, the way that you played that character, I don't know if this is what do you think you learned about the abuser's perspective just by playing the abuser? Did you see anything different?
I was really aware of all the things that I had to lose, all the things that could go wrong. And then also in the dynamic with my mother, with Elizabeth, it already felt like it was very clear, like a game of chess. I knew exactly what the next move would have to be with her, or if I stepped wrong, I already knew the consequences that it would have. And at the same time, it felt like I was getting a lot of comfort out of the situation because it felt like my mom was totally on my side with everything, with her criticism, with her high expectations on me as the character, as Sara.
Yeah.
And then in my relationship, and then in my relationship, I was just really making sure that he's with me. Does that
you
make
could
sense?
see that. Oh yeah. And honestly, when people see the movie, that point is so big. I feel like I watched your character sort of like hold his face sometimes and just sort of like, you're with me, and seeking that connection, which felt manipulative watching it, certainly, and I think is, but you did it so well. It sucked me right into all of those moments. It was, again, so well done. You're a phenomenal actor. I want to talk about the gender dynamics here, because again, my audience, like, we're mostly women, and that's what we talk about. But I think what's so great about this film is that it showed the abuse of a female narcissist towards a male towards a female, and then in a family dynamic. So it was really great. Tell me a little bit about what you think we kind of get wrong on screen about male victims of abuse and how this film tried to capture that. in a more accurate way.
I mean,
Either of you.
stereotypically, we wouldn't even talk about male victims as the male victims in an abusive situation, because stereotypically the woman would be the victim, and then also the narcissist would probably be more overt or more sadistic. So to then see a story where there's a female narcissist that has a more covert narcissistic manipulation, I think that's rarely shown.
It absolutely is.
If it's shown at all.
Yeah. So from a maybe more personal perspective, why was it important for you guys to include these different dynamics, including a male victim of abuse?
For me, it was important because of my personal experience in my past relationships and in my family. So I wanted to show that a male person can be also a victim, because generally whenever I talked about the topic since 2 years, 2.5 years since we started developing the story, the idea, and everything, I talked to many people about narcissistic abuse and everything, and they had a very wrong idea of narcissists and what narcissism is, because most of them they said, yeah, hey, my best friend is narcissist. I say, how is it possible? Yeah, because he wants to be in the center of attention, and I just said, that's the only thing that he has. Yeah, that's it. So okay, you totally got it wrong. It's not just that. It's very very wider than that. And also, for me, it was important to show that male victims exist, and we can also be in such relationships. We had a couple of years ago, I had a relationship where my girlfriend just almost destroyed me in my relationship. So that was tough. That was hard. And yeah, luckily I could get out of this relationship as soon as I could. So it didn't hurt me so much, but I had also traumas with me, and I have still some of them. And also in my family, I experienced that a lot. So it was important for me to show that perspective also, and not just saying the publicum, saying the audience that narcissists are all men, and the people who are in center of attention and who are very charmant and charismatic, they are all narcissists. No, you find also people that are charismatic, very charmant, and very 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 nice. You find them also being not narcissists and being good persons. So it's not we shouldn't make stereotypes from who could be a narcissist and who couldn't be a narcissist.
Yeah.
Because it's and for everyone it depends. For everyone it varies, actually, because for me someone could be, let's say, could be identified as a narcissist. For other person it couldn't. For other person there are many other factors that needs to be clear to identify someone as a narcissist.
I think there's people get things wrong about what a narcissist is. And I will die on this hill that narcissism is a personality trait and narcissistic personality disorder is a disorder. And so people can kind of be, let's say, on the spectrum, but people think a narcissist is something. People have a specific mindset on what that looks like. And even if you look at the DSM and you know the 9 traits, I still think that these people show up differently depending on who they're around in different situations. There's a lot to be said for how male narcissists show up versus female. But I also think what's interesting is people will say, like, a male narcissist will be violent and a female narcissist won't be violent. I've heard that. Says who? That's absolutely not true. Or, I mean, there is nuance to it, the way that sex is weaponized or the way that financial abuse appears in these relationships. What differences did you intentionally make between, let's say, between all 3 characters? Like, what are the differences in how you tried to shape those characters based on the stories that you told to even make the film and put the stories together?
For me, for different characters, Michael is someone who wants to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted in a country that is not his own country, where he is a refugee and he needs help. He just wants to be accepted, to be seen, and to be recognized what he can do, because he is educated. He knows how to work, but the whole country just ignores him somehow, and they don't accept his existence. He needs just to be accepted. For Emily is very strong, is self-confident. She quit a corporate job for 3 years and is starting to be an actress. And she wants, at the end, she wants to achieve what she dreamed of, what she wants. She wants someone to believe in her, to take her hand and push her up and pull her up to the career that she deserved, because she's very self-confident, she's very strong, and also Emily, she doesn't fall for many traps, because in the film she also says, yeah, hey, the offer that you're giving me right now, Sebastian, many others they gave me already, and I just rejected all of them. Why should I believe you? Why should I trust you in this case? But at the end, Sebastian is someone who could convince her to fall into his trap. So you never know. You never know. It could be narcissist. Could be. I would say, if someone says, I won't be in a narcissistic relationship, I would say it's not true, because anyone can be in such a relationship, no matter how educated, no matter how experienced, no matter what you do. If you are a big name politician, or if a professor, if just a normal worker in an IT company or whatever, anyone has the potential to get into the trap of a narcissist.
Yeah.
And then also the narcissistic manipulation, it doesn't just have this one way. It can look very different. It does in the stories that we have too,
Yes.
as well, too, for example. So for example, it could involve a lot of lies and a lot of secrets, or in the case of Sara and her mother, a lot of backhanded compliments and blame games, or the idea of giving the other person a feeling of you're heard, you're seen, you're valued here, and then turning it around.
Yeah, absolutely. I again, I speak to so many people. I've thousands of clients over the years. This is so interesting how differently they present, and how even to this day, and I say this, I'm a certified coach, not a therapist. And I see people constantly come to me and say, like, oh no, that's a narcissist would never do that. Listen, the idea that all narcissists cheat, or no narcissists would ever go to therapy, or narcissists don't apologize. What are you talking about? They absolutely will apologize. They don't mean it, but they will apologize. And some lie, and some lie selectively, and some pathologically, some cheat, some don't. Like, what? They're all so different. So I think the more we see the broadness of how narcissism can present, the more we, I don't want to say normalize it, because that's not really what I mean, but normalize what it looks like, so that we can recognize it, not normalize the behavior itself, but be able to spot it and not have this sort of pigeonholed, narrow view of what it looks like. I think that's how people end up in it. I think, even to your point, narcissism and abuse, they're villains and they're violent, and they're the nicest people you have ever met until they aren't. And that was evident, because the beginning of the movie is like, oh my God, these people are so nice. And then you see, I would say, a darkness that sort of subtly, and then not so subtly, is there. And then it's just absolute cruelty. There are scenes where I'm like, oh my God, that's so That's so mean. In fact, again, that scene where Lisa walks in, I was like, that was gut-wrenching. I can't even imagine. And the actress who played her, Lisa, yes, did an amazing job as well. Nia, How to Love a Battered Woman. But the victim, like the disbelief, the absolute shock when this other woman walks into her bedroom, it's like, oh, chills just thinking about it. It was so well done. It's important to talk about this and show people the differences and what it looks like and what kind of relationships. Before we kind of close, I want to ask you guys both this question each. Like, why does this film matter so much? Why does this need to be out there for people to see?
For me, this film matters so much because I want to create more awareness for what the people that are in a relationship with a narcissist actually go through, and that they're not stupid for experiencing this kind of relationship. But actually, the survivors that we talked to were one of the strongest people that I've ever met. Mm-hmm. And I also think it's courageous to throw yourself into a relationship and wanting to work out compromises with the other person. So I think the intent is right. Just the person they ended up with was the wrong person with bad intentions. Mm-hmm. So I really want to move away from this narrative that the people that end up in a relationship with a narcissist it's their own fault and they made the wrong decisions. Yeah. And I would also like to get us to a point to think more about our own responsibilities in relationships. For example, if we have relationships with power dynamics, like at romantic relationships or relationships at the workplace, that we think more of what is the other person really going through and like, what am I maybe not seeing? And then also ask ourselves, what really are our boundaries with our partners, or not even just our romantic partners, but with our friendships and with everyone around us. What am I willing to accept? And what am I also willing to change if I hurt another person? So it's complex.
It is complex. It's funny, actually, recently I was having this thought about a lot of people will sort of like, oh, you guys call you call everything abuse these days and act like it's confusing. I don't find abuse confusing, but it is complex. So that was the most perfect word. It's complex, but abuse is abuse. And this whole film is just it shows the subtlety of it as well. But I'll throw that question. Go on.
What makes it a bit complex is that everybody has their own limits. So like defining what works for me, like nobody can help you with that really. Like you have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, I know it's a deeply personal thing.
And we're also not asked that question a whole lot.
Very true. Very true. So Ali, what about you? What do you think makes this film so important for people to see?
For me, it is important that people who are in such relationships get the courage to speak up, to speak to someone, to speak to friends, because we see the isolation in those relationships, and that they don't, or that the people outside of those relationships, they don't believe them. They don't believe the people who are in such relationships. And whenever you talk about it, they don't accept that because they see the other person in a very different way that they are seeing. Because they see the best picture of the best perfect person, but the people that are in such relationships, they are seeing the devil side of them. So I hope that people who are outside of these relationships or who are friends with people who are in such relationships, they sit and hear what they are saying. They trust them and they do some research. They try to understand the survivors and the victims, and not just reject them at the very beginning. Yeah, you are just saying, lying. You are just that nothing is correct and everything. And it's important for me with the film that people understand dynamics and how slowly it develops and how slowly you fall into the traps. So they could recognize the red flags before it's too late, and they could react before it's too late for them, and they can't really do anything in that moment, because the victims, they want to come out of these relationships, but they can't. And the people, many people say, yeah, hey, why you don't leave? I want to leave. I can't. That's
I'm
the problem.
trying. Yeah. Why don't you just leave? It's like, have you ever tried to leave a narcissist before? Because I have, and it didn't go well. Like you could lose your life. I mean, if we're just being on an extreme level, but you absolutely could lose your life because it's still domestic violence. But more than that, like, okay, just give up your life, your house, your immigration status, your money, and everything you thought was normal. Go ahead. And you didn't even involve like children and family dynamics and religion in the movie. I mean, there's a million directions that we could take this, but it's not easy to leave. But I also think that there's a level of, I want to call it kind of arrogance almost in some people. They may not recognize it as arrogance, but like, well, that happens to you, but that would never happen to me because I would never. I also thought I would never, and I would imagine you both are nodding because you felt the same way at one point. I would never let someone treat me that way, but you don't have free will. Dr. Nadine Macaluso has said this. You don't have free will. It is stripped of you. Your autonomy, your agency is gone in these relationships. You just look like a person who has free will, and you might even think you could, but you don't. Because again, you're trauma bonded, and it's like, okay, I'm going to leave. What? I can't. How come I can't get one foot in front of the other, essentially? So it's really, people are very stuck. So I think what's so great is that this film offers recognition. I think that anybody who's experienced any relational narcissistic abuse in family, work, it doesn't matter. You're going to see yourself in this movie. Now, the question that everyone is going to have, and I'm sure you're getting this question left, right, and center, when does this movie come out, and where can people watch it when it comes out? What's
Good
the answer
question.
now? I know it's not black and white.
Good question. We are working hard now to finish the film. We have the picture look. We are doing some color correction and some sound design and the mixing of the film. And we will have next year, we will finish the film by early next year, and we'll release the film next year. We have now the possibility for people who are interested to watch the film before anyone else. There is a link in the description. They can click on that link. They can pre-subscribe for the release notification and for the watch party of the film. As soon as the film is ready to be released and to be watched, we will send an email to whoever registered through that link, and they will get notified, and they will be able to watch the film before anyone else officially can watch the film. Mm-hmm. So we are making it happen. The link is in the description. But next year, very soon, the film will be finished and it will be available to public to watch it. And hopefully, we will have a high amount of audience who watch the film, because the more people get aware of the narcissistic abuse and narcissistic relationships, and the more we could. We don't want to educate people, but we want to make people aware, and make them able to recognize the red flags and the dynamics of narcissistic abuse, so they don't fall into such traps, or they could get out of those relationships before it's too late. And yeah, the link is in the description. We would be very happy if anyone can share that link with friends, family, surrounding, and everyone. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah, please do that, everybody. Sign up for that, because I'm telling you, the minute this comes out, you're going to want to be the first to watch it. I promise you, this is going to be something that you just absolutely watch, And I want to actually point out something too, because I can imagine people being like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to get re-traumatized. I didn't find it triggering or traumatizing, not to speak for everyone, but it was just really well done. And I think because you're not taking it from the angle of how can we make this sensationalist. It's really, you're going to feel seen watching this movie. So I want to invite people to not feel nervous to watch the movie, just as an aside. Where can people follow you and interact and kind of see some clips behind the scenes? And you've got some social media. Where can people find you?
Yeah, we have some social media channels on Instagram and TikTok. We are very active. Both handles for those channels are ilymn.film. The first letters of the sentence, I love you, my narcissist.film, ilymn.film. On Instagram and TikTok, you can find us. We will soon have a YouTube channel, hopefully. Because we are creating some trailers for the film and teasers, so to make people more interested about the film, and we need a platform to release them. So we are going to have soon a YouTube channel. And we appreciate any support from anyone, anyhow, by sharing the link from the description to the watch party, by following us on Instagram and TikTok, sharing our channels with friends, families, and anyone. Any kind of support is very welcome, and really appreciate it.
Amazing. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here and talking about this, but more than anything, for making this film and having this really important topic brought to light, brought to the big screen, so we can see a really accurate depiction of what these abusive relationships are like from the perspective of the victim. So thank you so much to both of you, Ali and Stefanie. And everybody, please, follow them on social and get on that watch party list. Thanks so much.
And a big thank you to you and the other experts that we have in the film, because with you the film has a real strong voice and a very different perspective of narcissistic abuse that we hoped for, and we hopefully achieved that, and we could bring it to the audience, and people hopefully love it.
I know they will. Thank you so much for saying that.